Hello, and welcome to Alienate UK. Please. Please put all questions in caps and start with an emoji.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hello, welcome to today's show of Alienate UK with co-host Nicole and our wonderful guest, Mr. Jonathan Downs. Now over to Nicole because she's going to introduce him.
I am. So, Mr. Jonathan Downs, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Jonathan is a naturalist, cryptozoologist, author, editor, filmmaker, poet, novelist, activist, journalist, composer, singer-songwriter, and the director of the Center for Fortean Zoology.
Ooh.
I had to read it. That was a long list of accomplishments.
I was just thinking that sounds far more impressive than I actually am.
Yeah. No, it is very impressive.
It is. It's a lot of things. So the Center for Fortean Zoology.
Yeah.
How had that get started?
It's a long and complicated story. Back about in 1991, I think it was, I suddenly found myself made redundant. And the only thing I can do is my only two accomplishments is I used to be able to play the guitar reasonably well, and I can write. But apart from that, I can't do anything. So I decided that as I was in my early 30s with $5,000 in the bank as a layoff from my last job, that I was going to do something I wanted to do for a change. And so I did a one-off issue of a magazine, called a magazine about mystery animals, and I called it Animals and Men after a track by Adam and the Ants from their first album many moons ago. And I went along with my first wife, and I went along to the Fortean Times convention, and we had a briefcase with about 200 copies of this magazine in there. Lilith, be quiet and don't interrupt. We went along to the Fortean Times convention, and it was really lucky. I knew one of the guys on the door, so they let me in for free, which was very good because I hadn't got any money. And I ended up in the bar, and I started selling these magazines. Within an hour, I'd sold all 200 of them. I was beginning to think, bloody hell, maybe this is a goer. But at the time, the Centre for Fortean Zoology was me, my ex-wife, and a bloke called Dave. And that was it. And I found myself in the bar. Selling magazines is thirsty work. So I was sitting there having a pint, and I found myself sitting next to an elderly Irishman. I say elderly, he's younger than I am now, but he seemed old. He seemed old to me when I was in my early 30s. And it turned out that this Irishman was the legendary Tony Doc Shields. Now, I'm sure you've all seen the famous pictures of naked witches on the shore of a lake, and a man with a tall hat waving a magic wand next to them, trying to summon up the Loch Ness monster. Well,
Yes.
this was him. And he and I sat in the bar drinking, and along came a journalist from, I think, The Guardian. And he came up and said, "Excuse me, you gentlemen are obviously something important. Can I have an interview?" And I was a nobody. I'd published 200 copies of a magazine that until then I'd never sold a copy until about half an hour before. But Doc Shields turned around and said, "You may do that, but if you want an introduction, I am the wizard of the Western world, and this Saxon bollocks who's sitting next to me is Britain's leading cryptozoologist." Well, it wasn't anything of the sort, but next week they printed it in The Guardian that I was Britain's leading cryptozoologist. And I thought, well, if it's in The Guardian, it must be the truth. So I better get on and be the Britain's leading cryptozoologist. And so I started off as a complete fake. And much to my surprise, 33 years later, whatever it is, 32 years later, I'm still running the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and we are now the biggest general mystery animal research group in the English-speaking world. And I'd like to say the best as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Wow.
That's one hell of a story. It's like a fake it till you make it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which is exactly what Forteana is. You know, the whole idea of, oh, for God's sake, dog, will you stop it?
That's Archie.
That was Archie.
Just for the viewers.
Archie was trying to climb up on my arm because he's that Lilith, who you can see here, who's waving her tail in front of my face. Lilith is getting in the way, and he wants to be there and be the centre of attention as well. So they started to fight on my arm.
Oh,
Nice.
You have a whole Center for Zoology right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
I was thinking that earlier.
Well, they both sleep. I have several cats and only one dog, but I have 4 cats because my late wife, my second wife, who died a few years ago, she used to keep on rescuing kittens, which is why I have 4 cats, which is far too many. And especially as the weather is colder, I have anything up to all 4 of them and the dog sleeping in bed with me, which is a little strange at times.
We're all a lot strange a lot of the time, I think.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
It's good, but it's good to be strange.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. I never set out to be strange. I know these people. I know so many people who do set out to be strange, and they always wear sort of, I don't know, a big gothic overcoat and a top hat or something. And they're doing their best to be as strange as possible. I never set out to be strange. It's just the universe had other plans for me.
Yep. Yeah, totally get that. So, how many of you are running it now? Is it just you? Is Dave still part of it?
Oh God, no! I haven't seen Dave in years. But no, I'm the director. Our life president is Colonel John Blashford Snell. Richard Freeman, who's a famous cryptozoologist and explorer, he's the zoological director, and I have deputy director Graham Inglis and assistant director Guinevere Palmer, who's an absolute sweetie pie and who's going to take over this whole circus when I finally retire or drop down dead.
Oh, sorry, you caught me off guard with that. I didn't mean to laugh. It's just the way it come out.
Where's my job as an
I wasn't.
interviewee? Is to
I weren't ready
completely
for
burn
that.
the foot the interviewer if I possibly can.
Yeah. No, I get you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We've got our first question for you from Sober Carper, and he's asking. Oh,
Hi,
sorry, you've
so
done it.
he watches our show.
Oh, yeah, he does watch
that's
a lot
right.
of the YouTube ones. Yeah, he's a good guy. I've been out investigating with him, what have you. So, yeah, he's really into it. Right. So, question for you is: Hi, Jonathan. Have you Have you ever had a personal encounter with a cryptid or a supernatural entity?
Well, the short answer is yes, but I assume that you probably want to know some details rather than me just going, yes.
Please.
My house is haunted, ridiculously haunted.
Oh,
I mean, there's been a house here for the last 1600 years, and
Oh.
there are lots of ghosts in the house. I came back here to live when my father was dying. I came back to look after him. This was 20 years ago. And one night, I hoped he was asleep. And I was in bed, and I could hear this god-awful noise on the landing. Well, he used to walk a bit like I do now, with a walking frame and a stick. And I thought that the silly old bugger had got his walking frame stuck in the sliding door, because it's the most horrible noise. So I grabbed a dressing gown, came outside, thinking, God, I'm going to have to try and rescue my dad. He wasn't there. He was fast asleep.
oh,
And so I went back to bed, and the noise started up again. And I thought, it's Graham. He's in the other room, and he was drinking earlier. He must be pissed out of his brain and staggering around and causing some sort of a noise. So I went out again, ready to lay the Lord, and he was fast asleep. Then I went back into my bedroom for the third time. This started up again. I then came rushing out, and I saw some ornaments that were my mother's on a shelf on the landing. They were moving. And I turned round to the place where these things were being moved, and I said, and I'm not going to censor this because I'm sure you don't want me to swear.
Doesn't matter.
You don't mind?
You can swear
No,
away.
go for it.
No,
Okay.
no, not at all. Say it as it is.
I say, look, you fucker, to the ghost. I don't mind if you live in this house. You've not lived in this house longer than I have. But if you don't stop disturbing me this evening, I'm going to exorcise the living fuck out of you. And it stopped.
Nice.
Believe me, it stopped.
Oh,
Then, about 3 weeks later, my father's lung collapsed. He was in his early 80s, and he was in really shitty health. And his lung collapsed, and he was lying in bed, and he wanted to see me. He was lying in bed, and he said, I can hear your mother's here. And I said, what do you mean, Dad? I was sitting on the side of the bed. It's actually the same bed that I'm in at the moment. I was sitting on the side of the bed, holding his hand, and he said, listen. And I could hear not just my breath and his breathing, I could hear a third something breathing. And I said, oh, it's going to be just the dog. And he said, no, it's not. And then the dog came in, and I could hear four things breathing. And he said, it's your mother, and your mother is coming to welcome me home.
oh.
The next morning, my father was taken to hospital, and he never came out again. And I never, ever heard that breathing again.
Wow.
Oh, that's a very nice idea, though. That your mother came
Yeah,
to
to
kind of
meet.
help him. Yeah.
To meet up and go to wherever it is you go after.
Yeah, whatever
I
the next stage of the journey is.
Yeah.
That must be very comforting.
Well, I actually quite like the idea that my late wife, who died 5 years ago, if I drop down there, when it's time for me to drop down there, I hope she'll come and take me to wherever it is that my mum came to take my dad.
Yeah.
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 And that's all we can hope for, right? Is like somebody we love on the other side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because none of us have the slightest idea what's going to happen next. And anybody who says they do have an idea is lying.
Yeah. There's a million ideas, isn't there, of what it could be.
Nobody knows, and we won't know until we get there.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's it. That's how it goes, isn't it? So, watch his space, I suppose.
How
Not
about,
literally, but
yes. How about cryptid encounters? Have you ever encountered a cryptid in the wild?
Yeah.
Yes, 3 times. First of all, I was on driving across Bodmin Moor in May 1997, and I saw an adult puma walking across the road in front of me.
Yeah.
You know what? I had a video camera on the chair, passenger seat. I had a camera around my neck, and I
know what's coming.
Completely flabbergasted. I just sat there going,
"Yep," in the moment.
But that was something absolutely special. Hang on a second. I just got to get rid of people. Hang on a moment.
I hope he's not like literally getting rid of them.
He got rid of us. It's like I just gotta get rid of you people.
I'm not getting rid of you, Loss. I'm back.
All right, we can hear you. Your screen
it's not good.
I'm on my iPad, and I've never managed to work out how to switch off Facebook Messenger so people can't contact me.
Got you.
I've never known how to do it, and everybody who's tried to teach me has completely and utterly failed. So I will have to go. Exactly, Fire Spirit. I know how to deal with people interrupting.
Yeah, double barrel, all that.
Are you trying to stop notifications from Facebook Messenger, or you don't want any messages in general?
The latter, I think, really, when I'm doing these things, because then someone will ring. I bet somebody will ring during the thing. So if
inevitable.
I disappear, I'm only going to disappear for 30 seconds to get rid of everybody.
That's fine, not a problem.
Good.
And no, I'm not going to use a shotgun, although I'm very tempted sometimes.
Yeah, I suppose it depends who it is it's calling, doesn't it?
What else have I seen? I have filmed, and I've seen and filmed something very peculiar on a lake in Ireland.
Oh.
Which you can see it on our YouTube channel. I still don't know what it is. Yeah. But I was there again with Tony Shields, the Wizard of the Western World. I was there with him and my late wife. We were at a place called Ladies View, I think it's called, which is right up looking over the 3 lakes of Killarney, and at Lake Muckross, which is the smallest one up at the top. We saw a whole string of strange things happening in that lake. I don't know what they were. I filmed them, and I'm not making any claim for what they were.
No.
don't know.
Hmm.
And the weirdest of the things I've seen is, it's another sort of shaggy dog story, but back in January 2023, there's been a whole string of sightings of and reports of a Bigfoot type creature in a forest around a lake called Bowlam Lake up in Northumberland.
Yeah.
And we went up there because I'd been given a tip-off from a guy, from a reporter mate of mine, from one of the scuzzier of the national daily tabloids, that a reporter from the other scuzzy national daily tabloid was running around in that forest in a monkey suit jumping out at people. So I thought, aha. And so I took my expeditionary force of Richard Graham and a guy called John Fuller who used to work with us. And we loaded up the car with all sorts of stuff, including 2 paintball guns and a load of paint cartridges.
Oh.
Because what I wanted to do was to get the reporter from the Daily Star, oh, I now told you who it was, but get the reporter from the Daily Star and cover them with paint and then hog tie the bugger, rush down the motorway down to London and shove him covered in paint and hog tied on the steps of the other newspaper, okay, it was the Daily Mirror, the other newspaper who the guy had tipped me off, because I thought it'd be funny, and I'd done a deal with the Daily Mirror that they would give me a reasonable amount of money if I could make their main rivals look stupid. Which is fine.
Enough.
Which is fine. I've always tried to do things for a good reason in life, and humiliating journalists is a great thing to do, I think. Nearly as good as humiliating politicians, but that's another story.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got up and we started interviewing some of these witnesses, and it soon became clear that what these people were seeing was to them real. It wasn't a bloke in a monkey suit.
Yeah.
We never heard anything more about the bloke in the monkey suit, and that story has just disappeared. But we interviewed 4 or 5. Remember, it's over 20 years ago, and I'm getting old and doddery. I can't remember the exact number. 4 or 5 different people. And we did something that I nicked from Crime Watch. And we always, if we can, we take the witnesses back to the place where they had their sighting, and then we walk them through it in the same way witnesses walk through on the Crime Watch TV show. And it soon became obvious that these people were terrified. What they'd seen was something very real and totally and utterly inexplicable in terms of purely zoological terms of reference, because whatever anybody says, the idea of there being a viable population of an unknown species of higher primate in a forest 40 miles north of Newcastle city centre is an absolutely ludicrous idea. But people are seeing these things.
Yeah.
So, whereas in America, I think that there is a very real chance that at least some of the sightings of Bigfoot, particularly in the Pacific Northwest, and the smaller creatures like skunk apes in the in the Florida swamps and in places like Orange County in Texas, where I've been looking for them.
Yeah.
I think these things may well be real flesh and blood, carbon-based life forms who are as real animals as you, me, the dog, the cat.
Yep.
But the idea of this happening in Britain, there just isn't. There's not enough cover for them. There's not enough food for them. There is not enough. There are too many people and not enough sightings. If you have a place like Bowlam Lake, which all the way through the summer is a great tourist spot, and they have people going out on the lake in canoes and things. You have dozens of people there at any one time. If there were a viable population of an unknown 8-foot tall monkey man, then people would see them far more often than they do.
Yeah.
But as I said, these sightings do appear to be real. So one has to. I hate using the word paranormal, and I hate using the word supernatural. I think these things are perfectly normal, perfectly natural. They're just defined by laws of physics we don't understand yet.
Yes.
Because we are the most horribly patronizing and pompous species. We think we know everything about the universe. Well, we don't even know everything about our own back gardens.
Yep.
And so these things happen, and it is down to me as a citizen scientist who's interested in such things to try to work out why and how. Now, on the Saturday morning, I did a BBC radio show. I had to go. The BBC paid for a taxi to take me from the place we were staying all the way up to Bowlam Lake, because they'd approached me to be on the big Radio 4 Today program.
Yeah.
And I managed to get 50 quid off them for appearing on the Radio 4 Today program. And especially back then, when I was even skintier than I am now, I do quite a lot. There isn't much I wouldn't do for 50 quid. But even getting out of bed at the god-awful hour in the morning and having to travel 25 miles to a car park round the side of a Bigfoot haunted forest, it's worth it for 50 quid. So I went there, and the taxi driver pulled up in the lay-by outside the forest. You couldn't get in because it's only open from dawn till dusk, and the local forestry people come and lock it.
Yeah.
So we were in the car park opposite it, and there was a tiny little Japanese car in front of us with a whole array of what looked like satellite dishes and microphones and things all stuck with gaffer tape onto the roof. And that was the BBC guy.
Wow.
And so I got out. And in those days, I still smoked. I don't anymore. But I got out, had a cigarette, chatted to the BBC guy. And he then said, okay, about 10 minutes before we were due on, okay, I've just got to go and set up my calibration or whatever it was. And so I went back and chatted to the taxi driver, and we heard this strange booming sound. Now, the nearest I can give is that this is, to those of you of a certain age, you will probably remember the album Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd. which starts off with an amplified heartbeat, going boom, 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 boom. And it sounded like that, an amplified electronic heartbeat. And it was going boom, 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 boom. It wasn't regular, but it was that sort of deep,
Yeah.
overly processed sound. Now, I can't tell you whether this was something to do with the BBC guys
The equipment.
or, as I strongly suspect, it was something else. Because at about 5 to 8, and remember, this is in the middle of the winter and it's still dark then. The sun was just beginning to come up. The booming sound stopped, and there was a rookery there with hundreds of crows and rooks nesting, and they all started to squawk at once, like they do. I've got a rookery at the bottom of my can hear them every morning. But this time it sounded very eerie and very strange. And then suddenly in the middle of it, it went completely silent. And I looked at the taxi driver and he looked at me. We both took drags on our cigarettes and said, "What the bloody hell was that?" Then we heard the boom again, once or twice. Then the crows started again. And then it was time for me to do the BBC interview. So I forgot all about it and got on with my day. I did the interview, much to my annoyance. Despite what the BBC guy had said on the phone, I had to invoice them, and it took me another 7 months to get the 50 quid off, which was a bit of a bummer. But the taxi driver, I'd finished the interview, shook hands with the BBC bloke, and the taxi driver took me back to the place in Seaham-on-Sea where me and the gang were staying. And after breakfast, we went straight back up to the forest again. And we spent the whole day up at the forest with a local paranormal group called Twilight World's Paranormal Investigation from South Shields, that's outside Newcastle. And they're nice people. I'd known them for years. And they volunteered to come along as sort of foot soldiers. And throughout the day, we interviewed various people. We interviewed various eyewitnesses. We photographed all the locations. We measured the locations as best as we could. And about halfway through the day, I realized something very strange was happening. Every single piece of electronic equipment that we had failed.
Oh.
And this included 2 laptops, a whole bunch of mobile phones, walkie-talkies, the coffee maker, which was supposed to plug into the car cigarette lighter thing, and worst of all, one of the car batteries. Luckily, I was driving, I still had my old Jaguar then, and so we jump-started the guy whose car battery got flat, and we've charged up everything as best we could, but they kept on running out of juice. Then, when it came to the evening, we were all absolutely knackered. And it's been a long day, especially for me, as I had to get up at stupid o'clock in the morning with the BBC bloke. And me and 2 other people were sitting on the bonnet of my car. And it was getting dark, and I had the headlights on. And there were 2 other people standing, 2 other people from Twilight World standing next to the car. So there were 5 of us looking into the woods.
Yeah.
And then the crows started up again. And I remembered what happened that morning. And then yes. In the middle of them squawking away, it was silent, and the booming sound started again. And there was no BBC guy there,
No.
and there was nobody there who could have made that noise. And then once again, it stopped. The crows squawked a bit and then died away. And of the 5 of us, 3 of us saw something which appeared to be a very tall, thin, black figure, more like a man-shaped slice of nothingness than actually a solid figure, run for about half a second or whatever from right to left, and a couple of seconds later from left to right again.
Oh.
It was very, very angular. It was like a stick figure. And it was... I've never been able to estimate size. So what I did was note I've never been able to estimate size or distance. So what I did was I made a note of how tall it was compared to a branch sticking out of the tree, and I noticed which were the 2 trees it ran between. And when we came back on Monday, it was 12 yards between the 2 trees, and the figure would have been about 8 foot tall.
Wow.
Now, this is where it gets weird. 3 of us saw it, 2 of us, who were all sitting next to it on the car bonnet, didn't see it. Now, this is where, again, it gets... this is where it gets very strange. I'm in fairly crappy health, and I've been in fairly crappy health most of my life. I am perfectly aware, both for medical reasons and the fact that I was an old hippie working in the music business for many years, I do know what the effects of various psychoactive drugs on the central nervous system are. I do know what happens when you take opiates. Both from having taken them for fun and for having had morphine and dihydrocodeine and things for medical reasons.
Yeah.
I felt numb after I saw this thing, and I walked off into the dark to try and get my head together, have another cigarette. Sounds like I chain smoked in those days. I didn't really, but cigarettes seem to be in this story quite a lot. I went off, had another cigarette, tried to get my head together to decide what the bloody hell we were going to do next. Because finally, of all the things that we were prepared for, the one thing I wasn't prepared for was seeing this blasted thing myself. And over the next few minutes, my body got completely flushed with endorphins. Now, you know what endorphins are?
Yes.
The pleasure chemicals.
Yeah.
There are 2 substances which they don't produce endorphins, but they do make your body think that it's producing endorphins. And those are chocolate and heroin, or morphine.
Yep.
And now I've got balloons going up. Who the hell did that?
So on the iPad, it has reactions. So if you do different hand gestures, I actually thought it was a real balloon till I seen the ones go up behind you. So if you do like thumbs up, so if you do thumbs up or thumbs down or wave, you have all different things going on. So
anyway, my body was completely full of endorphins, or it felt like it was full of endorphins. I promise you, I hadn't taken any drugs, because by that stage I still smoked a bit of weed, but my heavy drug day long behind me. I felt like I had been smoking raw opium. I was totally full of this wonderful feeling of euphoria.
Yeah.
That stayed with me for 2 days.
Wow. That's long.
Yeah.
Now, we went back there on Monday, and I decided totally off the cuff that I wanted to see if there were any magnetic fluctuations in the area. And there were all sorts of little boardwalks going all the way through the forest. And we followed these, and there's tons of magnetic anomalies. And I found out afterwards it's because there are seams of a magnetic iron ore called magnet underneath the forest. And this made me wonder whether magnetite and these electromagnetic fluctuations could have been what caused the electronic equipment to fail.
Makes sense.
Now, this is where it gets really far out, because ever since John Keel, I think it was, first wrote about the idea of window areas being places where the veil between this world and the next world was thinnest, and being places where all sorts of paranormal things can come through, and that the paranormal things can play havoc with your electronic equipment. I wondered if it's the other way around. Now, I want to take you back now to about 4 million years ago, when the human race was a bunch of little naked hairy geezers on the plains of East Africa.
It's like that round here, but anyway.
Is he always like this, Nicole?
Always. Always.
But it is true.
Good behavior.
You want to see what it's like where I live. It's bad.
Where is it? Where do you live?
Northampton.
I was in, I played in Northampton. Back when I was in the music business, we did some shows in Northampton, but I can't remember anything about it.
Best way.
We blocked it out.
Because I was completely wasted at the time. So, but anyway, back to the story. The human race was a bunch of little hairy geezers on the plains of East Africa. Now, something that Richard Freeman was the first to notice, that everywhere he went in the world, you had the same stories of monsters. You had what he calls a global template for monsters. And everywhere I've been, once he pointed it out, I found exactly the same thing. You have the stories about the big, tall, hairy men. You have the stories of the little, short, hairy men. You have the stories of black dogs with glowing eyes. You have stories of mystery big cats. You have stories of dragons. You have stories of snakes. You have stories of weird flying things. And you have stories of glowing lights in the sky.
Andy has all those stories.
Sorry?
So Andy has all those stories.
Yeah, and they're
football.
everywhere you go in the world. Or I've
Yeah.
never been to a place yet that didn't have all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to when the human race was a bit like Northampton.
Yeah.
There would have been things that our remote ancestors would have all have been terrified of. They'd have been terrified of their relatives, the giant apes. They'd have been terrified of their other relatives, the Australopithecines, the tiny little hairy men. They'd have been terrified of the big cats because there were cats that are still there today, like lions and leopards, but you also had the homotherium, the scimitar cats, and various other species. They'd have been terrified of the giant monitor lizards and the giant crocodiles and the giant snakes. They'd have been terrified of the flying things that came out, the flying things like the giant birds of prey, which would come down and grab their babies and take them off. And like they'd have been terrified of the black hunting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think that all these terrors, which were the thing that totally terrified our great ancestors, I think they're in our heads. They are deep inside the psyche of every man, woman, and child on this planet. Now, if you think about it, every computer is, even the most sophisticated modern computer, when they have a power surge, it will reboot. And when it reboots, it goes back to the original basic programming language as it boots up the BIOS and everything. And if you think about it, the human brain is the most sophisticated computer ever made.
Yeah.
I think that under certain circumstances, the human brain can reboot. And when it reboots, I believe that people can experience these primal terrors, the things which are what Carl Sagan called fossil memories. And that under certain circumstances, people can relive these things. And so I personally believe rather than these monsters having an objective reality of their own, they're not something from another dimension that comes through a window area. There is something in the window areas which make us experience them.
Yes.
And that's Richard's and my theory. Archibald, get off.
Using the full name. He's in trouble now.
Yep.
Oh, he is.
Yeah. So, because I've been thinking about that, it's not them coming to us, it's more us going to them.
Yeah.
So why can't it be that way? Do you know what I mean?
It also makes more sense.
Yeah.
What was that scary noise there?
I thought that was you.
No.
What kind of noise?
It sounded like a motor.
You heard it, Andy, didn't you?
Yeah. Like a droney motor.
Yeah.
Weird. Was it not the cat?
No, it's like a UFO bike or something. Motorbike UFO.
It wasn't me, I promise.
I don't know. I thought it might have been cars outside. That's why I pulled my headphones off. But it's all noise cancelling on this, so it shouldn't pick anything else up. Very strange.
Kind of loud to be outside here.
Yeah. I kind of can pick up which channel it's coming from.
It's happened again. Do you hear that?
Well, like a
It's
big.
just regular cars outside. Like they're
No,
always
that sounded like a lion growling. Anyone got a lion anywhere
I do
close
not have a
by?
lion,
No,
unfortunately.
I have
Let
Archibald,
me.
but he's not a lion.
No.
Does he growl?
So which of our devices did it come from?
I thought it was coming from you, Jonathan.
It was
Only because
honest.
while you were talking, it was kind of being picked up from that.
I told you it's a
I
very
don't know.
haunted house. I heard it coming through the iPad speakers. So
I have
Well,
cars, going outside, but they always
No, I
are up and down
look 'em
the
up.
road.
Yeah, we have motorbikes because of knobheads
Mhm.
going up and down the back at stupid speed. So, yeah, no, it wasn't that. I'll if we hear it again, we'll timestamp
Tag
it at 48 minutes or thereabouts, like three and a half minutes ago. Very odd.
Very.
Might be something trying to get through to us.
oh, this shit happened.
Growling like a lion?
Now this time, did you notice? It gave me a thumbs up, but I just
Yes.
moved my hand.
I noticed. I don't know what's happening.
Oh my god.
Oh Christ!
I
Anyway,
don't know.
it's all good.
Yeah. Now I want to see what other things you can do with
You
the
do
iPad.
if you do thumbs down, it rains and you get a bit of a thunderstorm. You got to do both hands, I think.
No, when
No.
oh, never mind. I think this is rapidly developing into a very strange, podcast episode.
Yeah. Oh, Fire Spirit Wayne has just put probably a ghost in the house, perhaps. Could it be something trying to communicate? Does that happen when you've done other podcasts?
I have the stupid iPad thing, the stupid thumbs up and things. That happens whenever I'm on SteamYard because I quite often I regularly do this Spooky Viv show on at least once a month, and that happens on there. But I've never heard the weird noise coming through before.
I first thought it was like a motorbike or a car, but then it sounded too like a guttural growl.
Yeah.
So
I must admit, I thought it sounded like a growl. It wasn't Archie's growl.
yeah,
Wasn't growling.
no, it's sounded like something big. It sounds similar to that growling that I heard outside the bedroom window that time.
Well, that's spooky.
Tell me about that.
So maybe it's you.
It's not me. So, yeah, so where I used to live in Milton Keynes, there's all weird stuff going on at this house. Anyway, it was a Sunday evening. There's upstairs getting stuff ready for work and the kids getting stuff ready for school. And the window was a window that tilts horizontally. And we could hear this growling. Lasted for a good couple of minutes. And it was like a big animal growl. It's like coming from the chest. I can't do it. Please don't ask me to do it. I'll just ruin it. But it's like the way a lion or a tiger would like growl, like the infrasound sort of thing.
Mm.
And I just got the feeling that if I was to look out the window or put my arm out, I was getting dragged out that window. And it's probably the last stupid idea I'd ever have. Yeah, and there's a couple of... I don't know. Because there's another witness there that she heard it and then we asked somebody else that was in the house, and they said, "Was it not a car going past?" We both looked at them like, "No, it definitely wasn't a car." Yeah, so I refused to look out the window because I didn't know, or I think I was too afraid to. If it was something, I couldn't cope with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know exactly
So,
what you mean.
yeah. So, yeah, it was just, yeah, didn't like it. That was about 9-10 years ago, thereabouts.
Good
Yeah,
Lord.
see, the cat,
That's different.
the cat purr is nothing like that. It was
No.
like 100 times bigger than the size of the cat, whatever. If it was a thing that was making that noise a minute ago, and the one that I heard. So,
Oh,
who knows?
it was completely deeper, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah. See, that's quite soft and subtle. This was like, had depth to it.
Was it someone's stomach? Did everybody have lunch today?
Definitely not my stomach. No,
Did
was it my
you guys-
ass?
Did people in the audience hear it?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Og, Joanne,
Mhm.
Wayne. Now, so other people would have, but they've not put anything in the chat. So yeah, there's at least 6 of us that heard it, including ourselves.
That's just weird.
Yes,
Lots of weird stuff going on today.
I know. Well, wait for the next question. So,
Welcome to my life, Nicole.
so because you're down in Devon, I like Devon and Cornwallish area, and you do the cryptozoology. Did you ever go and investigate the Owlman sighting from the 90s at the church? I cannot remember the name of the town, and even if I could, I probably couldn't pronounce it.
I wrote the book on it.
Oh, there we go. How you can't get any better than that, can you?
Nope.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's called The Owlman and Others, and it's available from all good bookshops and quite a few crappy ones. Yes,
So,
I without blowing my own trumpet, I'm probably the world's greatest expert on those. It's doing it again.
yeah, thumbs down. Oh, might be. So if you do 2,
Oh,
No.
no, you only just do one.
no.
That's weird. Anyway, the story goes, and once again, it's Tony Shields, Doc Shields again. The story goes back to Good Friday, 1976.
Oh.
Now, you two, I'm sure, are too young to remember 1976.
There we go.
But it
No.
was, thank you. But 1976 was the longest, hottest, and weirdest summer on record, especially in the Southwest.
Yeah.
And there was a family called the Mellings who were on holiday from, now, I can never remember whether it's Southport or Stockport. I always get the two mixed up.
Right.
Stockport's south of Manchester and Southport.
Yeah.
Uh,
Near
on
Liverpool.
that bit of that bit of Lancashire that sticks out.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went there I went to Stockport, Southport, investigating something totally different years later. But
Oh.
anyway, there were people on holiday. This family were on holiday, and they arrived late the night before, and they went for a picnic lunch. They set up their picnic lunch in the car park of Mornon Old Church near the village of Mornon Smith, just outside Falmouth. And while Mr. and Mrs. Melling were sorting their picnic out, the two little girls, who were called June and Vicky, I think, yes, June and Vicky, went to play in the woods. And they suddenly came rushing out of the woods screaming, saying they'd seen a nasty feathered bird man flying by the church tower. And this was the beginning of a whole series of sightings of something which appears to be half man, half bird, which have been reported in and around Mornon Old Church ever since. And the sightings continued in 1976 with two other teenage girls who reported seeing this thing at the beginning of July. And both the two original girls and the two who saw it in July all drew pictures of it, which ended up being published in Fortean Times magazine. And then the sightings continued during 76, 77, and 78. They tailed off a bit, but they've happened intermittently ever since. I've interviewed several eyewitnesses. Archie, please stop it. I interviewed several eyewitnesses over the years, and I've always been impressed by the way that these things, that it is there, whether or not this thing has any objective reality, it's something that was terribly real to them.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that back in the 1930s, there was a surrealist artist called Max Ernst, who one of the signature things that he drew and painted was a bird-headed man that he called Lop Lop. And in the 1930s, he and his wife, Leonora Carrington, were staying with a surrealist artist who lived outside Falmouth, a guy called Beacus Penrose. And they did all sorts of weird bits of surrealist theatre magic. That's sort of cross between being actual magical invocations and surrealist theatre, which basically involves the three of them in bird costumes, rampaging around the woods and having sex with each other while dressed as birds.
Okay.
That happened in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Max Ernst died, yes, Good Friday 1976. He died on the very day that these sightings started up.
Oh.
Yeah. So I will give you that for what it's worth. It's a much more complicated story than this.
Yeah.
But again, I hate it when people come on shows and start trying to just plug their books. But the full story is my book's about 400 pages long, and I can't really encapsulate it too quickly. But I would suggest anybody interested in this stuff go and buy it. It's the book that I'm most famous for. But yes, I know the Owl Man.
And on Kindle, it's only $6.99. So just buy it and read it.
There you go.
Is it?
It is.
I wonder how
is that good?
Paperback $18.99. Kindle is $6.99.
Oh, lovely! Brilliant.
No excuse. It's $7.
There you go.
Well done.
Happy days.
Right?
Yep. So I know you said about getting the book, but do you think there's any connection between Owlman and Mothman? Or do you think
That's
it's
what I was
two
thinking when you're talking about owl.
Yeah,
I
two
think they're the
completely
same
different
thing.
things.
They're the same thing in the same way as I was talking earlier about the global template of monsters.
Yeah.
These things happen across the world. They're reported across the world. They're reported by native Australians. They're reported in Chinese mythology. They were reported by American soldiers in Vietnam, or similar things.
Yes.
So these weird flying humanoids are reported. Again, whether they have an objective reality or whether they are something that somehow we produce out of the depths of our consciousness, I wouldn't like to say. I suspect the latter. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
So do you think?
is part of what's going on.
So do you think we manifest a lot of these things that are seen, or a lot of these things that we encounter?
Yes, I do, because I think, like I said earlier, I don't that we think we know everything about the way that the world works, but we don't.
Yeah.
And we certainly don't know everything about the way the human brain works.
No.
And if you think of it, that there are some people who are able, through some mechanism we don't understand, to be able to produce stigmata.
Yes.
I met a stigmatic once. Very strange man. I met and interviewed him, and if you think that somehow, because of the depth of one person's belief, they can produce the marks of Christ's passion on their own bodies purely by thought, then I don't think there's any end to what we can produce.
No.
True.
Yeah, it's
And
like
the mind is like super powerful in ways that we don't even understand. People are doing all this crazy stuff. They're bending spoons.
Yeah. But it goes back to what I know I keep saying it, but intent. It's how intent and how passionate you are about what it is you're thinking about, whether it becomes reality or not.
Well, you keep saying it because everything comes back to intent and manifestation and all that.
Of course it does. And
everything.
It all depends on your intent.
Yep. Yeah.
It all depends. I think magic is something that everybody can do.
Yeah.
It is something we don't understand yet. I think it's the idiot bastard son of art and science. It's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And it's something I think everybody can do. And most of the time we don't realize we're doing it.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah. That's why people I feel like people with a certain attitude where like, oh, bad things are always happening to me. They're going to have bad things that keep happening to them because that's the mindset that they're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Self-fulfilling prophecy there.
Yeah, right on. Well, I agree with you totally.
But you think some people are more, I suppose, powerful than others
to
create these things?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And on the whole, women are more powerful than men.
There you go.
And women going through puberty when they're halfway between being a girl and a woman are the most powerful of all.
Yeah, because that's when you get a lot of these, like you got the Enfield poltergeist.
Oh, Christ, yeah. And if
Roch-
you've ever lived in a house with a teenage girl going through puberty, by
yeah,
Christ, it's
you just don't want to live there, do you?
no.
Yeah.
I was called in to have a go. Was called in by the people who used to own the pub up in the village, and they
Yeah.
had an 11-year-old daughter, and there was poltergeist shit going on all around the place,
Yeah.
and she was the epicenter of it. She wasn't doing it on purpose. She wasn't causing it to happen. She was just the magnet that attracted this shit to her.
Yep.
And I've come across this. I've been doing this on and off for the last 40 years, and I've been doing it as for a living for the last 30. And this stuff happens again and again and again.
Yeah.
And Archie, will you please stop it?
That would be much luck here.
I have some biscuits there, and he's trying to get hold of my biscuits. That's all it is.
Right.
It's not a magical creature from the nth dimension. It's a badly behaved Jack Russell trying to steal my biscuit.
Oh. Did I ever tell you about how my daughter, while we're on this topic, was manifesting animals?
No, but do tell.
Tell me.
So she's 10. And
Do you do requests? Because I'd like a raccoon without rabies.
I want one too. But she's wanted a cat. She's always wanted a cat. And we didn't get her a cat. Instead, we got Indy. And then this stray cat shows up at my grandmother's house. It likes her more than anybody. She named it. It's her cat. It never left. No idea
So
where it came
it
from.
now lives there.
Yeah, so now it lives there and it's her cat. But she also here caught a frog, made a little terrarium for it. And then we see a frog in the hallway. And my husband's like, "Oh, Fiona, your frog got out." Like, she's like, "Nope, that's another frog." She's like, "I want more frogs." And then there was a frog in my bathtub. There was a frog like everywhere. There's frogs. I'm like, how are they getting in my house?
Your daughter is brilliant. No, I love that.
Yeah. So for a while, she's like, "Another freaking frog? What the hell?" So she scoops it up and puts it in her little terrarium. And she had a ton of frogs.
How many she got now? Don't say none.
None. No, we can't keep them forever.
Of course you can.
No,
Well, not forever, but
the little frogs. They have to be
at least
released
17.
into the wild.
At least 17 years.
No. Because what do you feed them after a while? Like little bugs and stuff?
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yeah, she was catching like bugs and stuff to feed them. Yeah, no, I hope she wants like a raccoon, like a kangaroo, something cool.
A wallaby. Don't want a kangaroo, they're too big. Something little.
I think your daughter is brilliant.
Something.
Yeah, well, give her my love. I'm really impressed by that.
Yeah, I thought it was crazy.
That's magic.
Yep, that's something. It's like, I want a cat, and God damn it, I'm going to get a cat one way or another.
Yeah. Like Sober's put, let's hope she doesn't want a tiger.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was, and you have actually got a tiger living downstairs, and that's what the growling was earlier.
God, no. Hopefully not. But we'll see.
Soon find out when you go downstairs.
Excuse me, I have a dog issue. Archibald, stop it.
Oh. You gotta manifest some more biscuits for him.
Yes, I think so. That's what he wants.
Yeah. Oh, Og said that's what it sounded like. It was a bullfrog.
That was it.
No, she got tired of frogs and then the frog thing stopped.
So what does she want now?
Hmm?
What does she want now?
Nothing at the moment, I don't think.
Oh, I bet you she sounds like the sort of young lady who's going to manifest things all the way through her life.
I'm sure she will.
Give her a
Yeah.
list.
Fiona, focus on manifesting $1 million.
Yeah.
I
Or a
think
couple.
we'll have
Split
Fiona
it.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Should
She
get her on,
shows
see
up
if she
sometimes
can.
at the end.
Yeah.
She pops
Just
in.
get
She's
her on,
like,
see if she can bring something on.
right. Oh, we'll
Yeah,
have to do like
you never
the
know.
ESP and the psychic tricks with her. Like, all right, everybody think of something and see if she can predict it.
Yeah.
Well, if you do that, can I come on that episode? Because I want
Sure.
to see this happen.
Of course you can.
Sure.
Right. Are we okay to go on a quick break? Is that
Yes.
all right?
Yeah, if you want.
It's only going to be like 2 minutes.
Sounds good.
I've got to use the bathroom. Sorry. So if I don't go now.
Gentlemen, before we started.
Yeah, you
I did.
exactly.
I did. Right. So
All right,
I'll
2
get some
minutes.
music on and we'll see you
Well,
guys
while
in about
you're doing
3-4
that,
minutes.
I'm gonna have my medicine, so
Cool.
Okay.
Right. I'll kick us all off. We'll quick break. Back very soon. So get your questions ready for part 2. Will be. Here we go.
We're back. Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, everything's running a bit slow, so there's like a second delay.
Yeah.
yes, I did give out your biscuit.
Oh, good.
Yay. Will he be good now? Or will he keep
Probably
coming back
not.
for more?
He's looking over my shoulder.
Oh yeah, I can just see him.
Hi, Archie.
Right.
He's so cute.
Right. Oh, so I've got another question for you. So this is from Nickname, and she's asking, are you going back to the Cryptid Conference this year in Bridgewater, Somerset?
I hope so, yes.
Well, I hope you are, because I'm going.
I'm not speaking, but I should be there on the Saturday.
Oh, cool. I'm doing the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm off work the Friday and the Monday. So I'm driving down there or across on the Friday. It's about a 3-hour drive for me. So I'm going to get there, get booked in and chill for a bit and then meet up with everyone and do whatever it is we're doing.
I'm not going.
Oh,
And everyone has froze.
You haven't froze.
Anyone there?
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah. You back?
We can hear you.
No,
Yeah.
you all just did nothing. I don't know what's going on.
That'd be a fun prank to play. Just everybody fake freeze.
I could do that. Do it for hours. But
Just go into the
anyway,
meditative state and don't move.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So I'm going down on the Friday. There's a couple of people in the chat that are going. Hopefully there'll be some more. So it'll be a good shout. So I had tickets to go last year, but the time that I had off work, we ended up going on holiday instead. So it just happened to be this. It's the only time we could get to the caravan was that weekend. So it's like, yeah, it's either that or we don't go on holiday. So it wasn't really an option.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see you there, Jonathan.
Well, I hope so.
And then, yes, it'll be fun.
If I'm there, I've got a stall, and I'll be sharing. I think I'm sharing a stall with Viv Powell. So come over and see us.
Yes, I shall. I'll come and annoy you for a while.
Oh, don't be daft.
Oh, it'll be good.
Okay. Next question we have from Og from Elaine. Jonathan, out of all of the things that you've done, author, singer, songwriter, poet, etc., what has been your favorite?
That is a bloody good question, and I have no idea what the answer is. I don't know. On the whole thing, I write books and I write songs and stuff because it's what I do. I have to do it. If I don't do it, it's like being artistically constipated. These are all things I. On the whole, I've had a pretty interesting life, and I've spent the last 35 years anyway doing all sorts of exciting things, and I've been very lucky. I don't know. I really can't answer that question. I don't know the answers. I don't know the answer.
Fair enough.
Can I change that question then?
Yes.
Well, I was going to say that. Can I change it? Out of everything you've done, what would be the one thing you'd wish you'd not bothered?
That's a good one.
That's a bloody good question.
Sorry.
I wish I'd never started smoking.
Valid.
Fair enough. Yeah, it's a good one.
Because I still cough, and I haven't smoked in 8 years, and I still cough and splutter like a bloody walrus half the time.
So when you meet up with him, make sure you keep a 6-foot barrier, Andy.
Yeah.
I wish I'd never stopped. I wish I'd never started smoking, and I wish I'd taken better care of my body. I didn't, and it's too late to do it now. But I wish I'd been a bit more sensible. Except I'm not very good at sensible.
No, and it's boring.
It is. Yeah. School's no fun.
Yeah, we don't do boring. So, right, yeah. we do it.
There are.
Sorry?
Archie just wants another biscuit. You can see he's.
Yeah, he just sat waiting patiently.
Right.
Right, we do have another question. Got another question for you. We missed it, but I'll pointed it out. So it's from South Coast Rich, and his question is: great guest. John, how's the ghost of Joe Strummer these days?
Well, you know where. First of all, you know Daniel, who runs the cryptid conference.
Yes.
You know his dad used to play guitar in Joe Strummer's band, the Mescaleros,
No,
which is pretty far out.
I didn't know that.
But the ongoing joke on my show about the ghost of Joe Strummer, it goes
Yeah.
back to when about 4 years ago, I did a show and I stole about 2 seconds of a song by The Clash, and I had the episode demonetized because there's just 2 seconds of Joe Strummer shouting something in it. And so I decided then that I was sure that Joe Strummer would have actually probably approved of me sampling his song to do something silly in one of my shows. So I decided the ghost of Joe Strummer lives in my sitting room, which is where my little studio is. I was going to carry on with that. I was going to have dead punk singers. The ghosts of dead punk singers all around my house and garden. You know, I had the idea that Sid and Nancy's ghosts were going to be hanging out.
Knew you was going to say that.
But,
Hey, careful what you wish for, because
Right.
you might just end up getting it.
well, I'm moving.
You could run a spirit box or something and ask them to come through.
I'm afraid I'm moving soon, so I will leave most of the ghosts behind. I think some will probably go with me, but
yeah. Right. So
you can tell them to come with you before you move. Be like, hey, this is where we're going. Feel free to come with us.
Oh yeah, I certainly will.
But I believe
in this shit. So
yeah, if the paranormal works how we believe it works, they'll already know he's moving before he moves, and they'll be there before he gets there.
True.
Yeah,
they'll be waiting. Little housewarming party or house colding party, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very true.
Well, I hope, because at least 2 of my dogs who've died, their ghosts are here. So I hope they go with me.
Yeah. Aww. Yep. So are you moving far from where you are? Or are you still staying in the same sort of area?
Oh, about 50 miles away. I've got to...
Oh.
I'm going to another house I own, going back to a house I used to live in Exeter.
Yeah.
The mortgage rate's just got too much. I can't.
Yeah.
Yep.
And basically, the thing I was promised that I could get when I was 65 turned out I couldn't. So.
Oh. Not good then.
Mm-hmm.
But these things happen. There's no point in crying over spilt milk. Archie, stop it.
Archie just wants all the attention.
The audience probably want to see you have a biscuit. So here is a biscuit.
And he's sharing it with the cat.
Oh,
no, he's at it. There you go. First live dog feeding.
You get live dog feeding.
First time ever on Alienate UK.
Andy, that's what you need to do. You need to bring Bruno on, and every time somebody does like a super sticker, you give him a treat.
He's there.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yes. Yeah,
right.
What's your dog?
He is a Shih Tzu stroke Chihuahua cross. There he is, asleep.
Oh, darling.
But what he does, he throws himself upside down on his back with his paws in the air, with his eyes open, fast asleep, you can move him about, and if he won't wake up unless you make a loud banging noise. He sleeps like that all night.
That's so cute.
Well, you've got to have
Corgis.
you've got to have Richard Freeman on your show sometime because
Yes, I'm friends with Richard.
Oh, he's an absolute so soppy about dogs.
Oh, is he?
Oh, he loves dogs.
I think we all are. We had one show where we brought the dogs on, and everybody saw the dogs.
Yeah, people sent photos in. A lot of people in the chat sent photos
Oh,
in
how
of them and their
lovely.
dog. They're still on the in the YouTube channel. If you go to, it used to be called Community. I think it's just called Post now. If you go on there and scroll down a couple, there's about 8 photos. There's some from the UK, some from the US.
Yeah. Everybody's happy.
Sorry, man.
Just everybody showed their puppies.
Oh, how lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Might have to do a cat one week, and then a reptile. Oh, I said reptilian.
Yes, show your reptilians.
Yeah. Ooh, right. Here's a question for you then, Jonathan. Speaking like of reptilians, Inner Earth. I'm always going to go there.
Inner Earth.
What's your
So,
perception?
Andy, you're always going to go to Inner Earth?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to.
What he said, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just don't know how to get there. What's your perception of it?
Well, you dig a hole in your back garden. Simple.
I wish it was that easy. Do you think that it's a thing?
I don't know. It's one of those things that I've heard of vaguely, but never really done any looking into. So
No, fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Valid.
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
So, the Center for Fortean Zoology. What do you do? Are you going out on like expeditions? Are you trying to find like evidence of cryptids?
well, that's a much better question than any of Andy's. Thank you, Nicole. That's sweet. Yeah, we've done many expeditions. The most recent was our 3rd expedition to Tajikistan. We've been to Sumatra, I think 7 times now. Been to Tasmania 4 or 5. We've been to Tajikistan 3 times. We've been to India and we've been to Mongolia, and we've been to Puerto Rico twice, Mexico, and I've done various things in America as well. So yeah, we do expeditions. We publish a lot. We have a journal that comes out 4 times a year. When it comes out, it's for sale on Amazon. And then 3 months later, when the next one comes out, it's for free on the website. So people can see what we're up to. You can actually see it if you want to go. The most recent one's up on the website at www.cfz.org.uk. We also publish research. We publish research documents and research papers that are no other publishing company would publish, because they've got absolutely no commercial value. But we put out all sorts of books that we think are important, whether or not anyone buys them. And we've also on several occasions managed to get hold of legendary unpublished books by researchers who've been dead for years. The 2 most recent ones we did, there's a guy called Boris Porshnev wrote a book called he wrote a book about the Russian Yeti, and it was never published in English. And we got hold of a draft copy of it. It was published 200 copies in Russian, and we got it published in English. We got an English translation, and we published it under the title The Soviet Sasquatch, and that came out a few years ago. And most recently, we've got a book that came out by, there's a lady, another Russian lady, half Russian, half French, called Odette Chernin, and she wrote 3 books about man-beasts, the most recent, the third of which never got published, and we managed to get hold of a copy of it, and we published it with, we bought it and bought the rights, and we've published it for the first time. So that's the sort of, there's lots of stuff we're trying to do in a bit sort of getting hold of unpublished documents, putting them out, making them available widely to a decent sized audience. And also there are so many books that have been released by commercial publishers who charge stupid money for them. There is a book, but there is a 2-volume book on cryptozoology that came out through a publisher who shall remain nameless, and they charge £170 for the 2-volume set. We charge 15 quid each.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
Big difference.
well, yeah, I mean, it's my old punk rock roots, you know, pay no more than $1.99 stenciled on the bottom of the record sleeve. And I learned an awful lot of my sort of commercial state from the old anarchist punk bands. And I learned an awful lot about how to sell things and to do what I want to do through them. So
So you saying about the Russian Bigfoot Sasquatch? Have you heard of? I'm sure it's called the hide behind. Have you heard of that? A cryptid. You think? I don't know how. It's going back a few years ago, and it's some sort. From what I can remember, is you think it was some sort of government experiment, and it's this funny looking creature that hide behind the trees, so they called it the hide behind, but they could never locate it.
I've never heard. We've done 2 trips to Russia, to Kabardino-Balkaria, looking for the almasty, but
Yeah,
I've never heard of the hide behind.
I'll see if I can find it. I'm going back
please.
about 10 years ago.
Yes, please.
Let
I'd
me
like
see
to
if it's on here.
about that.
Ah, yeah. So the hide behind creature caught on camera. No, I don't want to play it. So it was 10,000 views a month ago.
Hide behind.
Can I what? Sorry.
Can you put a link in the chat?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to copy and paste it now. So there's a few different things. If you just type in hide behind, like
yeah, I'm
one
here
word.
now. I'm looking. I've never heard.
Share.
Now we lost him.
Copy.
I've never heard of this.
There we go.
Good Lord.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Thank you. I've never heard of it.
So this was a few years ago, and it's for me it looks like a skinny can't even say it. An anorexic bear, but up on its back legs.
Did you put up a picture? No, you put up the.
I've put the link up. So this is just one shot. It's only like 10 seconds. But you can see it like going behind the trees. But if you go on that, just scroll through, there's loads of different things. And it was some facility in Russia, and these guys went out to investigate it. And it was all these forests, this woods was all open. But when they went back a few months later, and it's all fenced off, saying you can't go behind. You can't cross over into it because it's now being used for a military stuff.
You broke it. I can't share screen.
I am.
Oh, you got it up already?
No. Oh, add. There we go. Oh wait.
Okay.
Remove. Add. There we go.
I've just had a quick look at that video that you've just linked. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can't remember if it makes any noise, but you can. It pops out and then goes straight back behind.
Yeah, that was weird.
And there's a lot of people that have seen it.
And managed.
Oh, it doesn't make any sound. It's just like a voiceover.
Yeah.
It's just like leaning out, and then because you don't think like, okay, it's part of the tree, but then it goes away.
Yeah, if you're up there and it's gone, but it's wider than what the tree is, and that's what doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because at first you would say like, oh, it's just an illusion, like it's part of the tree, you know, it's a branch. But branches don't move like that.
No, not when it's like.
Yeah, and then you can see it move back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then is that animated, AI, CGI, edited?
It looks a little, yeah, the movement looks a little bit like AI.
But these reports are like shadow people and all that. See it move out and then it moves back dead quick and it's gone.
Yeah.
It wouldn't move slow, would it? It won't hang about.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
That's one of those things that I need to like zoom in and slow down like frame by frame to see.
Yes. So if you were to go on it, it's just type in the hide behind just on YouTube and anything.
And go down a rabbit hole.
You'll find it. Yeah. That's a whole new story whatsoever. And I got proper deep into it. As you can tell, I just can't remember all the stuff I was watching.
Yeah.
But it's like these guys were going out to all these different forests and woods, and it was just trying to work out where it was. And I think one of the guys come to a conclusion it's some sort of experiment to do with the government or the military, but they wouldn't say exactly what country it was. He said Russia or around like Russia, because you got all the little spin-off countries that come from it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sure one of the forests that they went to was right on the border of Russia and another country, but they didn't say what the other country was. But then are they telling the truth or are they just saying it to get views? Do you know what I mean?
Very
but
true.
It's just, yeah.
Wow.
So I think that one is worth looking into. Whether it's real or not, I don't know. But
yeah, it's worth looking into the phenomena in general of hide behind whether that video is real or fake.
Yeah. But I think go back about to what we know, 2025. So if you can go back to like about 10 years ago, about 2014. And see what you can find on there.
I don't know if I want to go back to 2014.
Not literally.
No.
Just in the Russian forest, you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's odd. It's very odd. Oh, we have another question.
It's from Elaine. Jonathan, which cryptid draws your attention the most?
That's a good one. At the moment, and for the last, 20 odd years, I spent a lot of my time looking at the phenomenon of the blue dogs in America, which are
Blue dogs?
they are mostly in the southern states, and they're blue hairless dogs which appear, this is where it gets weird, specimens have been secured, they've either been shot or they've been hit by cars. And when they've done DNA tests on them, they appear to be a simple hybrid between Mexican wolves and coyotes.
Oh,
But there ain't no Mexican wolves. All the Mexican wolves were caught in 1970, taken into captivity and used for a captive breeding colony.
right.
The ones that I've investigated in Texas are over 1,000 miles away from the nearest Mexican wolves. And even when Mexican wolves did exist, they were in the wild, they weren't in the wild in that part of Texas. And the type of wolf that used to live in that type of Texas, which would have had a different DNA pattern, they are now extinct. And so, how the hell does Mexican wolf DNA get mixed up with coyote DNA in order to provide a weird blue type, a blue dog with no hair? It is almost certain that these things have got some type of mange, which has caused all that hair to drop out. But if you had an animal that was so full of mange, it was completely naked of hair, it wouldn't be able to walk up and down, let alone be able to chase things, kill wildlife, and kill domestic animals. Hang on, I'm going to show you a picture if I can.
Yeah, because I was just Googling it and I could not find anything obvious.
Are these the ones that people believe to be the chupacabra?
Yes.
Or is that something else?
Yes, they really aren't. Hang on a second, let me show you. I've got a picture here that's...
Ooh, hairless coyotes are gross.
Yes, they are very gross. And if you look on the back, okay, this is one that I took. Picture. Now, how do I share it to you?
I don't know if you can from the phone. You could send it to Andy.
Yeah, if you...
Andy, I'm going to send it to you. I'll send you the link on Facebook Messenger.
Yep.
And then if you can show it to everybody, then I'll tell you about the weirdest bit.
Now?
Because okay, I've sent it.
Yeah.
Okay, you got it?
1 minute, it's just loading now. Come on. Just waiting for it all.
And he's gone.
Sorry, if I'd known we were going to talk about this, I would have been sensible and got the pictures in advance. But
This is better. It just goes where it goes, and the conversation flows based on what people are asking and everything like that.
There we go.
Andy, are you back? Are you still
Right.
frozen?
You ready? That's it.
Can you zoom in?
Ugh, that thing is ugly.
Nope. No.
Okay,
Not
guys.
No, because it's a link. What's going on? There we go.
Now, if you look on what would be its buttocks if dogs had buttocks, do you see there's a weird lumpy looking thing?
It's like
those lumps are only ever found on the males. God knows why. There is a similar thing which does happen to some domestic dog breeds, but the lumps on the haunches of the blue dogs, they look like some sort of weird gland, whereas the ones on the haunches of domestic dogs are usually just an infected callus area.
Yeah.
Why they I say they only turn up on the males. We have one account of a female, but all the are most definitely males and have these weird things on their haunches. And if you look at that dog, it's a really weird shape. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't appear to be. It's just not right, is it? It's just.
It looks deformed. It looks like it has some kind of condition.
It's like this bit isn't the right size. It's out of proportion. Is that the knee?
Exactly. And it does. Trust me, I've seen that. I took that photograph. I've seen and I've measured it, and it's not a artifact of bad taxidermy. It actually did look like that.
Yeah.
And the other weird thing is that apparently this one was a roadkill. And apparently when it was hit by a car, Dr. Canyon, who owns it, found the body when it was still warm and the eyes were still open. It did have those incredible sky blue eyes.
Wow.
So this is something that I've been studying now for about 20 years. I'm about a quarter of the way through writing a book about it.
The thing is, well,
eventually.
It's got a longer neck. Its neck seems to be longer than a standard dog, but all its legs are not in proportion to what any type of dog would be. It's like my arm. It's like
it looks deformed.
No, what, my arm or the dog?
No, the dog, not your arm.
No, but I mean from that bit to there. This bit is like the same width all the way down, whereas in a normal dog, it will taper a lot more.
I have a word for you, Andy.
Did you just hear a dog then?
That was my dog downstairs. Andy, can you pronounce this word, please?
Exactly, Nicole.
Zoloichkanitli. No.
That's That's a Mexican hairless dog species.
Yeah,
It is.
I want one of them. Yeah,
A
they're beautiful
Mexican
dogs.
hairless dog.
Yep. And that's a Zolo something or other, but that's
Yeah,
it.
Solo for sure. Is it any chance that it's like a deformed one of those? Because wouldn't that
Well-
have Mexican like wolf DNA?
It's still left. The thing is, where the hell did the wolf DNA come from? Because although dogs are wolves, Archie is very proud of his wolf heritage. Dogs are just a domesticated subspecies of the grey wolf. But the Mexican wolf is depending on who you believe, but the oldest subspecies, certainly the oldest North American subspecies of wolf. The weird thing is about wolves is that the ancestral wolf, about 3.5 million years ago, lived in what's now southern Texas, in exactly the same place as these things are found. And they migrated north. They crossed the Bering Land Bridge into Eurasia, and they spread west and finally became modern grey wolves in roughly what's now Iran. And then the grey wolf slowly moved back. It's probably the most successful predator in the world because it's colonized all of Eurasia, all of North America, bits of Africa that until recently we didn't think it had. And the fact but each of the wolf subspecies are genetically distinct. And the fact that somehow Mexican wolf DNA has got mixed up with coyote DNA. The other thing is as well that in all of these blue dogs that have been DNA tested, none of them have had domestic dog in them. They've all had a mix. They've all been wolf, coyote, or some mixture of the two. So
That is very interesting.
answer your question, that's the thing that has been intriguing the living daylights out of me for years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is a good
It is.
good note. And we could have done a whole show on chupacabras.
I know.
Oh, we haven't even mentioned the chupacabra because I tell you what, the guy who first found one, the guy called Devon McAnally, and he shot this hairless blue dog that was eating his mulberries and he thought was responsible for killing his pet peacock.
Oh.
When he took photographs of it down to the local store, the Hispanic lady behind the counter said, "Hey, it looks like you've got your own version of the chupacabra." This guy, Devon McAnally, then told the newspapers that the Spanish lady had told him that he had his own version of the chupacabra. She meant, "Oh, you've got an unknown animal." He thought that meant, I have chupacabra. There is absolutely no relationship between the hairless blue dogs of the southern states and the chupacabra of bits of Mexico and most notably the Canavenas Plateau in central Puerto Rico. I've been there twice looking for them. So
Yeah.
next time I come back, if you want me back again, I'll talk about chupacabra.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Right. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show, so we are going to have to finish off. So thank you, Jonathan, so much for coming on.
And thank you, Archie and Lilith, for making surprise appearances.
Yeah, and thank you to
massively.
whatever it was that made the big guttural growling noise at about, did you say 48 minutes? Something like that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
46,
like
48
it,
something.
wasn't it?
yes. So, for Friday, it's just myself, Don Lester, and Brandon Thomas, because Nicole's out partying or something. I don't know what she's doing.
I have an event, an investigation. We're going to be at Silvio's in Warwick doing a gallery read and paranormal investigation.
Cool. And quickly, can you talk about the thing that you did the other week that's coming out on Saturday?
Yes. So I can talk about it now because the trailer dropped, which I will drop in the comments in a second if I can find it. Full Moon, me, Lisa, and Stephanie, we filmed a video with Hudson Matter from YouTube at the Mid-Orange Correction Facility in Warwick a couple weeks ago. So that is going to be dropping. They took a little extra time with the editing. It's going to be dropping on Saturday. And we're excited for it. It was definitely an interesting experience filming with like a YouTuber, like
a real one, not a fake one.
Not us. No, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a very family friendly. A lot of kids watch it, so it's very like.
Yeah.
Oh my,
when's he coming on?
It will be out on Saturday.
No, when's he coming on the show?
Oh, when's he coming on? I don't know.
Never.
I haven't heard from him since then, but we could probably get
his. We'll sort some out.
producer on.
Yeah, we'll get his shopkeeper on or something. Anyway, so drop that in and I'll share it on here as well once it's all sent over. So yes, thank you, Jonathan. Really do appreciate it. Definitely get you back on again. Hopefully I'll see you in Bridgewater in May, the last weekend in May. So
looking forward
fingers crossed for that. Yes, me too. So I'm back on Friday with Dawn and Brandon. Then on Monday, around about 4 p.m, we've got Bigfoot Dwarf coming back on for about 45 minutes to an hour. Then we've got Mark Ollie coming back on the 26th. He's going to be talking about the Knights Templar and the real Da Vinci Code. Then we've got Katie Page coming on the 28th, who was part of Skinwalker Ranch. And then we've only got 3 Fridays left after that. And it's just going to be Wednesdays and the odd Monday here and then a few bits in between.
Yep.
So that's it. Does anyone want to add anything before we end it?
No, I'm just telling everybody I dropped the link to the trailer. It's on Instagram. Go watch it because I want to know what everybody thinks.
Yeah.
Comments on it.
Jonathan, anything you want to add before we finish off?
No, I've got in fact, if I may, can I give a plug for my show?
Of course you can.
Yeah, my show. I do a show that comes out twice a week, Wednesday evening at 6:30, and Saturday afternoon at 3. Half an hour on Saturdays, quarter of an hour on Wednesdays, and it's a mixture of hard science, weird shit, surreality, and me dressed as a chicken in various parts of it. So,
lovely.
Some of it's a bit peculiar.
That's good. It's always good. Right. So thank you, everyone. You can listen to this back on Podcast Player, Apple, Spotify, etc. And you can also listen to us back on Audible. So enjoy your next 2 days and see you back here on Friday at 8:30 UK time, 4:30 ESC.
And then next week it's back, right? Next week it's back?
No, the week after. 30th.
Okay. All right.
We changed, so another 2 weeks.
Okay, 2 weeks.
I don't know. Yeah, about a week and a half. I don't know. Right. So see you guys later. Take care.
Okay, my dear. Bye-bye. That was good. I enjoyed.
If you would like to help to support the channel, you can do this by joining the YouTube membership. or Patreon, which both have a number of different tiers, or you can donate via PayPal. Links are in the channel description. This episode will also be available as audio wherever you listen to your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, etc., as well as being available on Audible. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Goodbye.